The assisted dying bill is moving slowly through Parliament with several more hurdles to pass before it becomes law. It's not clear whether it will or whether it won't. The next vote for MPs will be on May the 16th. But if assisted dying is legalised, the law would then allow terminally ill, mentally competent adults to request and receive assistance from a doctor to help end their own lives. So MPs are getting the opportunity to vote, and this is your chance to share your opinion on whether you think this is the right way or the wrong way. And your mum has been very clear and said the very sensible thing, which is it should be difficult. It shouldn't be easy. That's not what she wants.
Exactly. It should never be easy to make a law. And people are saying we're rushing this through. It's not being rushed through. It's been thought through so carefully. And this committee stage, they've gone through the bill line by line. They've added amendments. They've strengthened it. And there have been laws that have been rushed through. So the police and crime security was rushed through in 6 days. And immigration law was rushed through in 6 days. This is taking 25 years.
Yes. Well, let's go to our calls, and there are lots of them. Let's start with Lindsay. Lindsay's on the line in Hampshire. Hello, Lindsay.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
What do you feel about this?
Well, I have waited, like Esther's daughter, a long time for this because my father in the 1980s and 1990s wanted me to assist him to die.
Right.
And the principle here is that he felt his quality of life. He'd been an artist, a raconteur, he loved his food and everything, and he had a thing called cerebellar ataxia, where his brain just died and coordination went swallowing red, little like motor neurone disease. And he felt he just felt his life had no quality. I was only in my mid-20s. I just qualified as an occupational therapist. I was very angry with him, felt he should try and make more of an effort. But I look back and I think I couldn't have changed things then. But my goodness, had this been now, and I'm now 62, I would have had I've had all that time to think about things. I've worked with people who've wanted assisted dying. I've seen people go to Switzerland. I just think we should acknowledge, if we have the Mental Health Act where we can commit people indefinitely who have mental health issues, why can we not bring a law in for people who are compos mentis, who have progressive conditions or severe conditions, who feel that they want to have control of their life? And it isn't about death, it's about living a quality of life.
Lindsay, thank you. I mean, you nodded at that. It isn't about death, it's about life. It's about the kind of life that you want to live, be allowed to live and not be allowed to live, isn't it?
It's exactly that. It's not about ending life, it's about shortening death. And what Lindsay says there is so redolent of all the stories I hear of the trauma left behind after a painful death. That's the thing, it erases the memories of that person. I remembered for years just how my dad died, minute by minute, and I couldn't remember the last conversation we had. Mum doesn't want that. So many people with a terminal illness don't want that. They want the last memories to be loving, compassionate, kind and calm.
Mark, you think not?
Indeed, and I think when we look at it from the point of view of a much loved person like Esther who's going through a really difficult situation, it's really hard to think, well, why wouldn't you? But then it's when we step back and we look at the wider context of what's happened in other countries, where it's changed, what the effect on suicide prevention will be more generally, the effect that it will have on disabled people and how they're viewed in society, and also the fact that once you start a law like this, it's very difficult to stop it extending further, just like many other countries have seen. And no matter how tightly you draw the law, the fact is, once you've said, here is a line in the sand, we will have compassion on this group, then others start to say, well, what about us? And why would you exclude us from that? And so there's various situations like that where I think we have to step back from the particular situation that we're looking at and think, what will be the unintended consequences of changing the law?
I mean, obviously, it has been built, hasn't it, this bill, to take that into account, and therefore there are checks and balances, aren't there, which make sure, and are supposed to make sure, that that wouldn't happen, that people wouldn't be exploited.
Well, what we would say is this is a bill with safeguards at its core, and it is fundamentally following a pattern that has worked in Oregon since 1997. For 25 years, it has not been abused. The slippery slope doesn't exist, as we know. The Health Select Committee brought out a report last year. It showed there's no evidence of it. When a bill has been passed that specifies terminally ill adults, it doesn't open it up. You'd need a whole new bill. And as we know, this has been really difficult to go through Parliament. It's had vote after vote and inquiry after inquiry. We've listened to so many experts on it. It couldn't be safer and it couldn't be more entrenched in compassion.
So let me ask you, Doctor, what would you most fear? What is the thing that would really stop you wanting this bill to go through?
Well, it is the extension and it is the effect on vulnerable people that
So
aren't
for example,
for
are you
that.
saying that somebody might think, well, I'm nothing but a burden to my family, I'm no good anymore,
Absolutely.
so I might as well say I want to die, but actually they don't really. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
Rebecca's highlighted the Oregon situation. Around half of the people who access that law in Oregon say they do it partly because they feel a burden on their caregivers, and we understand that, but that's certainly something that preys on the minds of many people. You know, not everybody has the strength of character that Esther does, you know, to really fight for, here is what I want and don't you dare stand in my way. And I think you were writing in the Express recently about your mother. It was wonderful and very moving, and you said, hell hath no fury like Esther being told no. You know, and she is unusual in that. Most of the people in the situation, it's about, well, actually, should I continue living? And very easily the right to die becomes the duty to die, because once that law is in place, as soon as you're getting close to, well, I could be eligible for this law, actually you have to make a choice to go on. And people will quite rightly say, well, is this something you want to think about? And the fact that the doctor can raise it with you, think, well, what do you think, doctor, should I? And the fact it's been suggested, that sort of subliminal pressure, even if it's not intended, that can certainly come about.
I'm going to go to the phones just because we've got so many calls. So let's go to Sue in Devon first. Sue, welcome to the show. What would you like to say, my love?
Well, I'm all for it. I belong to the assisted dying group. I support them financially. I've emailed my MPs when I have to. I do everything I can to help.
You're all for it. Tell me, why are you all for it? Why are you so keen to get this passed?
Well, my dad died in 89, and it was horrendous to see what he went through. And I know, the medical world has come on leaps and bounds. But if you're terminally ill and they cannot control your pain, and I know what it is because I live with chronic pain all the time. But, if you're terminally ill, there comes a time where you think, I've had enough, I can't cope with this any longer. And it's our bodies, and we should have the right to choose how we want to die if we are terminally ill.
I appreciate the call, Sue. I'm going to stop you there only because I want to speak to Lindsay. Lindsay's in West Yorkshire, and at the moment, Lindsay has Parkinson's disease. So, Lindsay, what do you feel about this? I think you're concerned about the bill.
Yes, I'm concerned that it might get to the stage where you can't make a choice for yourself, and that people are going to come up to you, and like the doctor had said, that you're going to be coerced into going into voluntary euthanasia, and you won't have that true choice. And I think it is dangerous, and it is
Lindsay, I can hear it's an effort for you just to speak, so I can't tell you how grateful I am to you for calling, and obviously I send you all the love in the world. But if I just go to Rebecca, that's far, far from what this bill is trying to do, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's a bill for terminally ill adults, and it's a choice. And actually 2/3 of people who take the medicines, who take the prescription home with them, don't fill it out in the other countries where it's available. All we're saying is it gives you a peace of mind. And I know how valuable that would be to the people that I know that are in these end of life stages, and that they would have a peace of mind. That's what we're giving, just a choice. There's no coercion at the moment. There's no protection. There are no safeguards. Everything's happening behind closed doors. We don't know what conversations are having. This regulates it. This brings jurisdiction. This brings eyes to the issue so that people who are vulnerable are not vulnerable to this.
And Doctor, there would be at least 2 doctors involved and a judge, wouldn't there?
Well, there wouldn't be a judge anymore. That was one of the key planks that was brought forward originally, and that had to be taken out because the High Court said there just isn't the capacity of judges to do that. And so we've now got
the 2
panels.
doctors, whoever they are, because they're doctors and they've taken the Hippocratic Oath, obviously their entire life's work is to keep people alive. So wouldn't they be assiduous?
You don't know many of my colleagues,
Well,
Vanessa.
no, I used to be married to a doctor. I've got some idea of it. The whole point is to keep people alive, isn't it? So you would think that any doctor who's appointed to discuss this with somebody terminally ill who says, I only have a certain number of months to live, I really would like to end my life now. Well, the doctor would be very careful to
You've hit the nail right on the head. You said the point is to keep people alive. That has always been healthcare since the days of Hippocrates, more than 2,000 years ago. This is a fundamental change to medicine. In fact, the act on which the NHS is founded is going to have to be amended because it's not just about preserving the physical and mental health of the population. It's about ending the lives of some of them, yes, with the checks and balances. But that is a fundamental change. And so once you shift into you think of suicide prevention, when someone comes to you and says, I feel like taking my own life, at the moment you say, well, OK, there's always hope and we'll help you see it. But then you're going to shift to a posture of saying, well, maybe there's no hope and actually we'll help you end it if you fit the criteria.
If they know that they only have a matter of months to live, there is no hope. I mean, there's no hope of recovery. There's no hope of being free from pain if they're still in pain. There's no hope of being able to go to the lavatory when you want to.
Pain is a relatively minor area. It's usually about restriction of autonomy and the things that you like to do.
Which is understandable, isn't it? Let's go to Rowena, who's on the line in Cheshire. Hello, Rowena. What do you feel about this? Thanks for calling.
Hi. Yes, I'm fully behind people who want to end their lives early if they're terminally ill. But I think the NHS, not just the families, the NHS would abuse it. And I go back to the Liverpool pathways. I think that ended in 2012. But people were being killed off, and police were brought in by families on some occasions. And I remember reading about a few. And they'd lived for about 2 years after being put on the pathways and taken off, because of the families. It happened to my sister.
Any antibiotics and you wouldn't get liquids. Yes, Rowena, thank you. So Rowena's concerned. There's definitely concern, no question about it. Let's go to David in Shropshire. Hello, you feel rather similarly, David. You feel apprehensive about it.
Oh, yeah, I do really. Well, I'm a bit on the borderline. I don't really think it should be made law because, to me, it's a dangerous road that we're going down. I mean, just how far will it keep edging and edging on? I mean, what about all the people that still wants to carry on living? Are they going to be coerced into it? I mean...
But the answer to that is no. Obviously, they're not. These are people who are terminally ill who make the request personally. So they have to be well enough to ask, don't they? And they have to be of sound mind and they have to be tested to see if they are. It's not just people will be rounded up and herded off. That's kind of an extremist way of looking at it, isn't it?
Well, what I would say as well is there are 2 panels that I always refer to in this. There's the human embryo panel and there's the living tissue organ donation panel. These are multidisciplinary clinician-led panels, which is very similar to the model that we're thinking of for the assisted dying. So 2 doctors, social care, social workers, everyone who has been trained as part of your training, you're always told how to spot coercion. There is so many safeguards brought into that. And those 2 panels that I referenced earlier, they're constantly looking to see whether this person's donating a bit of their liver and they're being coerced into it. This person is doing human embryo and they're being coerced into it. So it already exists as a template and it protects people. It actually protects people. It's bringing safeguards in. And I do think that it's complementary with palliative care. We've shown through all the studies that actually palliative care improves. This is bringing an even bigger gold star to the NHS.
Right, let's hear from Ellen because she's talking about her son and obviously this is very moving and emotional. Ellen in Northumberland, thank you so much for calling. You do wish that your son had the choice, don't you?
Yes, I do. there wasn't at that time. He was in so much pain. He had a horrendous condition, very savage, called Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And he was in that much pain because he had a scoliosis. And he was begging for me to end his life for him. He was 12 years old.
Oh.
And I mean, he went on. And at the finish, I said to him, I said, you've got to say that you want to go for 28 days in a row. Then I'll help you, because I knew exactly what to do. And when we got to day 22, I was bricking it. And I managed to get in touch with the health visitor, and I told her. And they started doing things for him, so he managed to get onto fentanyl patches. To sort of help ease his pain a bit, but I used to put him in a bath to soak for ages for pain relief. He had a nice hot bed all the time, even in the summer, for pain relief. But I mean, if he wanted to go, that would have been it. I mean, children are people with rights as well. And if he wanted to go, and I would have helped him. But I felt I did it right by saying 28 days. I didn't just jump in, right, we'll do it tomorrow. I didn't do that. I said 28 days.
Gosh, Ellen, what a story, and what a sort of vivid memory of that searing pain, and his, asking his mother to sort of deliver him from pain. But actually, this bill won't apply to children anyway.
And I think
it wouldn't have helped your son anyhow, unfortunately, would it?
There are tragic situations. There will continue to be that will not be helped by this bill, and many have campaigned for a broader bill. People like Paul Lamb, who was in pain and paralysis for 30 years, who went to the Supreme Court asking for support, including from Dignity in Dying, and they said, no, that's not the bill that we're asking for, and he was incredibly disappointed. So you will always have people who are outside of that law, and there's always going to be a pressure to creep it further. And Rebecca, you mentioned about how terminal illness has not been extended. I mean, in Canada in 2016, the original law said that your death had to be reasonably foreseeable. And then by a legal challenge, that was ruled to be discriminatory. And in 2021, it was made wide open for disabled people and chronically ill people as well. And logically, there is no reason why a bill like this could not be challenged on discriminatory grounds, because there will always be people who do want to do that, and that is what we've seen.
There's zero evidence of this slippery slope. There is zero evidence that a bill
But you're
that has been
denying the
brought
evidence of Canada, that a legal challenge has changed it.
I'm denying the comparison of Canada, actually, because what they went for was something completely different from what we're going for, which is terminally ill people. It is very restrictive. It's going to be incredibly difficult to access, and so it should be, so that safeguards and coercion are all taken into account.
But in Canada, incredibly difficult to access, that's not actually the case, is it? There are so many things about this law that make it intentionally easy to access. It's meant to be part of health service provision. It's meant to be free at the point of need, just like the NHS. And
well, it shouldn't. Do you think people should pay for it? Do you think it should cost people money? I think they're already paying with their lives for it.
People are already
death.
Let me take another call, because the callers, I think people who ring in about this do deserve, if we possibly can, to get them on the show. Sharon's on the line in Glasgow. Hello, Sharon. What do you think?
Hi.
What's your thought?
I'm calling in a bit two perspectives on it. My mum died a horrendous death, where she lost her legs right up to her groin, and they had to pack them, and she was screaming out in pain for months. And but she did get pain relief. I'm now a chronic pain sufferer. 10 years ago, they sent me away. I was a healthy weight and everything, but had my back pain. And they sent me away and said, don't come back till you can't walk. We don't do the operation you need as preventative. We only do it when you get to the stage where you can't walk. Since then, I've broke my knee twice. I've broke my elbow twice. I have no balance. I fall.
Poor thing.
So 4 years ago, my surgeon says to me, right, you're at the stage now, but you put on that much weight, you need to lose 5 stone. I broke my knee again after that. I lost 3 stone. I broke my knee again. I've been on the waiting list for a gastric band for 3.5 years.
Oh, gosh.
And in November there, my surgeon retired, and the new surgeon has said he's never going to do the operation. He doesn't think it'll help. And then 2 months later, I got the letter through saying that I'm qualified for the gastric band.
Oh, listen, there's no question you've absolutely been through it. But do you feel that you would be somebody who would want?
Well, definitely. I'm 55. I could live like this for 20 years. You wouldn't let a dog live. See, the thing is, I'm not entitled to palliative care, right? So I'm not allowed the extra drugs that somebody with cancer is allowed. So my morphine and all that is at the highest level it'll go to, because I'm not terminal. They can't give me any more. don't have to sit here and suffer for 20 years.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I mean, when you hear that,
And
Doctor,
I've
do you not think that this is a woman who's highly sensible? She knows exactly what she's saying. She's told her story on television live impeccably, hasn't she?
But
she's in terrible pain. And she can't
said
stand it.
she is not terminally ill. She would not qualify for this law. And as she said, she may have to carry on for 20 years with or without this law. So we must not fool ourselves that this law will stop really tragic, difficult situations. What we must do is fix the funding for palliative care, because so many people actually don't get enough input when they really do need it, and that's not going to solve the problems for everyone. It's not going to take away completely the calls for that, but it would certainly make them less, and I think we need to fix that first. 2/3 of the public say we should fix the funding for palliative care before we think about that.
It's not an if-or. It usually goes hand in hand. As we've seen in this report, which I keep quoting because it is filled with evidence, as a doctor you would love that, it shows that palliative care improves in places. It does not get worse, it improves. And we have exceptional palliative care in this country, but it is a postcode lottery. So hopefully that will improve it, because most people don't.
We have to move on, I'm afraid. Thank you very much indeed to Dr. Mark Pickering for joining us. Thank you so much.